So I had this little wipe container lying around and I really wanted to make a little wizard's tower out of it. So that's what I'm going to try to do. It was at this point, some people in the building started screwing really loud, so I decided to get some food and think about how I was actually going to do this. I ended up deciding that I kind of wanted this weird tapered look for the top, kind of based off of this look here, and I wanted to do it with popsicle sticks for whatever reason, so that means I need to cut up popsicle sticks. I ended up getting all the pieces glued together kind of how I wanted, but I actually just ended up hating it entirely. It just didn't work. Looking back, I still don't actually know what the plan for this was, but I circled a little bit of foam with some pen here in hopes that I could try to make something with it. I don't actually know what I was doing. So I cut a little piece, hoping to be able to cut this out, and then I quickly realized it was too small for what I was trying to do. So I ended up digging myself a bigger hole and trying to cut out a larger piece here. And then I tried to freehand the circle, and with my terrible dexterity, it did not go well. I kept trying to trim this down for whatever reason to try to get the shape that I wanted, and obviously it wasn't working because, again, I'm not tuning this properly and I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't really think logically about what was going on here, so I just kept kind of making a mess. I realized that after messing up a bunch, I needed to pivot. I could not figure out how to do this whole wizard tower thing, and I just decided to pivot. I realized if I put these two pieces together, it actually makes a pretty decent rock formation, and I would love some verticality in my games. I mean that looks pretty cool. I've never made anything like it. I wasn't necessarily satisfied with just making one tiny little hill here, so I took the rest of my scraps here, and I'm going to try to make one that's a little bit bigger, so I have two sizes to work with. After cutting them up and gluing them together, I needed to scuff them up a little bit to make them feel a little bit more like rocks, because this stuff is a little bit too clean right now. I went with my blade just trying to get rid of these kind of like 90-degree corners, any of these like really just sharp edges that felt unnatural to me. I don't really know how to describe what I'm doing. I definitely was not holding this and my knife was not sharp enough, so I put a little pressure in a few times. I almost definitely stabbed myself like 4 or 5 times. After almost stabbing myself a few times, I go in with this wire brush just trying to give it a little bit of texture. I don't really know if there's a proper technique for this, but I just started going at it and I was just making a mess all over my desk here. This is how they ended up looking after I scuffed them up a bunch. I cleaned up my desk because it was an absolute mess, but they looked okay. I was hoping that it was worth it. After this, I just needed to go ahead and spray paint it. One full day later, this is what it looks like after it would dried a little bit. Obviously, I still missed a few spots. It's very porous, but all I wanted to do now was just paint. I made a very conscious effort this time to whip up my glass palette so that the cardboard wouldn't absorb all of my paint thinner. And then I was trying to thin this out as much as possible just because my paintings from the last time was very, very thick. I didn't have too much of an internal logic, but what I was going for was a little bit of a yellowish gray kind of topping the whole thing with kind of more of the browns going off the side as if it was dirt, and then I would go in with maybe like a highlight color off to the side. I wasn't really sure if I was going for the right effect here, but I had a little bit of red and green and some sap green, and I just wanted to add it kind of where I would put grass around, hopefully to kind of emulate like a bouncing light. I went ahead and did the same thing with the smaller one here. I actually think I went a little darker on this one, but that was probably just because I was running out of paint and did not want to squeeze out any more. Went in with some Venetian red, just wanted it to feel like it had more color on it. Again, not really sure. After letting them dry probably for only a few hours, I got really impatient. I went ahead and I just wanted to try putting some grass on it. I decided to put my Woodland Scenics grass inside of these very suspicious little bags and just go at it on this. I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't watch any tutorials on this, so all I did was drip on some glue because, again, the paint was still a little bit wet. I probably could have waited, but I was getting impatient. I just really wanted to try this. And then I dropped on a bunch of grass on it. After putting on all the light green, I put on a bunch of these little spots to try to make these bushes out of the coarse stuff here. I like the little color contrast and kind of the height contrast it gave. I tried to put some of the bushes just like in the corners in between the two levels of rock, just to try to hide the fact that I did in fact glue two pieces of foam together. So this is what it ended up looking like in the end. It's a little bit messy. I probably didn't glue everything down properly, and I could have waited for everything to dry. But for a first attempt at making some rocks, it's not the worst in the world. I ended up spraying this whole thing over with some more glue, just because my spraying technique was pretty bad, and I'll varnish it whenever that is ready. I'll get back to that wizard's tower at some point.